Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r slash petty revenge. In today's episode, tailgating? Have fun cleaning the cabin. Sold my wife a bricked phone? Okay, let's have a little chat. Speak out of turn, then become a disappointment to your own kids. Tell it me, enjoy the goose chase. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Tailgating? Have fun cleaning the cabin. This just happened and I'm loving it. Went by McDonald's and this guy in a shining Mercedes wagon was tailgating me from the drive-thru down the street. I signaled with my hazard light for him to keep a distance. The jerk just pulled closer. I lowered my speed so my car wouldn't be completely wrecked if I had to brake. This went on for a few kilometers, and I eventually got pissed. So about 100 meters before my turn I accelerated to get a distance between us and put on the turn signal. He matched my speed and just before my turn I slammed the brakes. And it was pure joy. Not to hit me, he did the same. And several cups of Coke, burgers and fries covered the inside of his windshield. I had to pull over and watch him and his family get out of the car. Him and his wife drenched from the hair down and kids crying over the loss of their meals. Maybe he will keep the distance in the future. Oh happy days, oh happy days. To clear things up, we were driving in a residential area. Speed limits ranging from 50 down to 30 kilometers per hour. Even though we were driving slow, we kept up with traffic once it came to a red light. I didn't slow anybody down. If I pulled over, I would break my rims on the curve. He had the opportunity to overtake me several times but didn't. This week it's the national autumn holiday. Schools are closed and kids running everywhere. If I needed to brake for a kid, he would have slammed into me. I gave him a 100-meter warning with my turn signal, and he could see the oncoming traffic. I accelerated from 20 to 30 kilometers per hour in a 40 kilometers per hour zone. So me slamming the brakes at the place I had warned him a long time in advance was my petty revenge for him making my drive unsafe. No regrets. Sold my wife a bricked phone? Okay, let's have a little chat. Probably about a year and a half ago, my wife was in the market for a lightly used Galaxy S10 or S10e. Finally, while I was at work, she found a really nice one for a pretty good price, $200 on OfferUp. She jumped on it and drove out to a sketchy area to pick it up. The phone looked great, worked, and the IMEI checked out on the random site she checked it on, so she bought it. When I got home, I decided to double-check the IMEI with T-Mobile, and it came back as bad. But the phone still worked, at least for now. I tried to get more info from T-Mobile, but all they could tell me was that it was not paid off, and that it could be bricked at any moment. Okay, time for some revenge. I waited about 2 days, made myself a new OfferUp ACCT, and found that seller. On his page he had a slightly older phone for $150, and some kind of Game Boy for $120. I sent him a message and asked if he'd take $250 for both. He agreed. Now I wasn't the biggest guy, 29-year-old 5 feet 9 inches 175 pounds, but I boxed for a long time when I was younger, so I have confidence during confrontations. That night I drove out to the sketchy neighborhood and met up with these two 18-year-old guys in a Jack-in-the-Box parking lot. And no, I did not bring the bricked phone with me. I said hi and one of them handed me the phone and Game Boy. Okay, game on. I looked the items over for a minute, asked a few questions, then put them into my pockets. At that point I aggressively told them that a couple of days ago they had sold my friend, didn't want to tell them she's my wife, a bricked phone. They denied it being bricked, so I yelled that it was a $200 paperweight, and that this other phone and Game Boy are mine now. Unless they have my $200. One of them quickly, and remarkably, proceeds to pull the $195 he had left out of his pocket and hands it to me. I gave the cheaper phone and Game Boy, which I don't think were even worth $200, back, and they started running fast. Once they were out of sight, I hopped into my truck and gunned it out of there. Success. Oh, and here's the kicker. Shockingly, at the time, bricked Galaxies were still worth nearly $200 for parts on eBay. So I ended up with almost double my money back. Dumb kids. Speak out of turn, then become a disappointment to your own kids. Several years ago, I took my family to see one of the Star Wars films. We are a family of 6. To set the stage of how we are sitting, my second daughter, 16 at the time, is sitting to my left and next to the daughter of another family of 3, son, dad, daughter, that we do not know. The children of that family next to us look to be in their late teens, early 20s. Basically, they are both adult age 18 plus. My daughter expresses herself through her hair color, piercings, etc., and we are perfectly fine with that. Her hair at this time was likely some bright crazy color. She has gauges in her ears that aren't overly large, and she has a septum and nose piercing. She is very confident in who she is, and I couldn't be more proud of her. So, my daughter and I are chit-chatting back and forth a bit as we wait for the previews to begin, doing all the things you generally do before a movie, when a voice catches my attention. It's the father of the family to our left in a voice a bit louder than I think he intended, saying, "I would never want any of my children to look like that. Don't you ever do that?" I immediately went into Papa Bear mode. I sat forward in my seat and loudly said, "What did you just say?" He looked at me a bit shocked as he was now confronted by me. Inside I'm just a big teddy bear, but on the outside I'm a bit scary looking. Picture shaved head, long beard, tattoos, and you'll get the idea. I continued, "I know you weren't just talking about my daughter, a minor, sitting here right beside you." From there it's a bit of a blur. To sum it up, over the next couple of minutes, I put him in his place, and loudly defended my daughter. Everyone in the theater was watching. His 2 kids started saying sorry and apologizing, and he just sat there in a stupor. He didn't say anything else for the rest of the movie. As we were all standing up to leave, the other father hurried out of the theater, and the 2 adult kids lingered behind. The daughter stood there looking at me and my daughter, and with disappointment on her face, and in her voice said to my daughter, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why my dad is like that." I think her opinion of her dad was forever changed that day. Tell it me, enjoy the goose chase. I used to work with a woman we will call Connie. This was a large company and a professional office setting. Now Connie was very well known to HR as she had a habit of losing her temper and yelling at people and cussing them out. HR had been trying for years to get rid of her, but she always threatened to sue. She had such a reputation that she had earned the nickname Hurricane Connie. Now one day Connie came into my office because a database that I had rebuilt a year earlier from a previous version did not have the file she needed. Even though no one on the entire team had asked about this file for over a year, including her, it was the single most critical file in the company, and I was an idiot. She actually used a few other choice names for leaving it out. I pointed this out to her and told her to leave my office before I involved her boss. She left but cussed my name all the way back to her office. Now comes the petty revenge. Connie was an avid gambler. She drove the 3 to 4 hours to go to the casinos at least twice a month. She was constantly playing lottery and the lotto scratch-off tickets. She loved to talk about how much money she was winning all the time. So I went out and bought a package of fake scratch-off tickets. For those not familiar with them, they look just like a real lotto ticket. You scratch it, and you of course will win. On the back in the fine details it says something along the lines of "redeemable over the rainbow, in Fantasyland." Not a real ticket, better luck next time, loser. I brought this ticket up to the office, and when she was out for a meeting I casually dropped it into the massive purse she always had open at the end of her desk. No invasion of privacy or anything on my part, it was always wide open, and I literally just dropped it in, and went on about my business. I waited a few weeks and asked a mutual friend if he had heard anything from Connie about a prank. I knew he liked me more than her, and would keep my secret. He told me she had scratched the ticket and got super excited thinking she had won $50,000. She had driven to the gas station for them to check it and was pissed when it wouldn't scan. She drove to 3 other stations before the last gas station flipped it over and read the back of the ticket. Once Connie realized she had been pranked, she started quietly asking people if they knew who did it so she could file a complaint with HR. She never found out it was me and everyone had a good laugh at her as the story got out.